let's go back and let's think about our days in elementary school when things were simpler and we didn't have to worry about taxes, politics, or work. We were just carefree, energetic kids fooling around all day. Nap time? Forget about it. But today, boy, do we ever need it. Our lives as children were different, yet we still faced the same problem then as we did today. The problem? Class struggle. During school, there's always the big kids against the small kids. When I was in 5th grade, our class had one big enemy, the 6th graders. Now when the teachers were around, they were docile and cooperative, but one day, when the teachers were needed in the office, those 6th graders pushed us out of the classroom because no one could stop them. Today, there are other powerful classes like soldiers and policemen that are against weaker classes like the commoners. This idea is portrayed through Dave Eggers' Zaytoon. In Zaytoon, the devastating Hurricane Katrina wreaks havoc in New Orleans. We see this experience through Abdulrahman Zaytoon, a painting contractor from Syria who was simply protecting his home and rescuing survivors. He was then unjustly arrested by the police and underwent cruel captivity in multiple prisons, all while being neglected his rights. Now, after completing my PhD in criminology at Princeton, I concur that people in positions of power will take advantage of an absence of order and abuse their power over those who are vulnerable. So Zaytoon and his friends were at Zaytoon's house when suddenly, armed police officers arrested them without validation and sent them to a makeshift prison called Camp Greyhound. Zaytoon describes the appearance of the prison.
Looking at it, Zaytoon realized that it was not one long cage, but a series of smaller, divided cages. He counted 16. It looked like a giant kennel.
So Zaytoon compares the prison to looking like a kennel, which is a shelter for dogs. This comparison is significant because it compares the prisoners to dogs, which are really important symbols that are present throughout the novel. Dogs appear again and again to represent compassion. Zaytoon risks his safety to feed his neighbor's dogs and is sickened when he sees the carcasses of puppies who were shot, both acts of compassion. The prisoners being like dogs shows that they have lost their dignity after being dehumanized and maltreated by the guards. These people still deserve compassion. Instead, the guards do invasive searches, abuse them, and put them in horrible third world conditions. Also, the prisoners at the camp pose no real threat. In fact, it said that most of these people were arrested for shoplifting, public drunkenness, and trespassing, all understandable crimes during a major hurricane. The treatment from the guards was quite over the top, and when the prisoners started to argue and protest, the guards immediately punished them. How? Not with warnings or discussion, but with pepper spray.
There were challenges issued by the prisoners to the guards, and soon more pepper spraying. Always the procedure was the same. A prisoner would be removed from his cage and dragged to the ground nearby, in full view of the rest of the prisoners. His hands and feet would be tied, and then, sometimes with the guard's knee on his back, he would be sprayed directly in the face.
So picture this. A man is arguing with the guard while inside a cage. The guard proceeds to remove him from his cage and drag, or forcefully pull him, to an open space to be put on display and pepper sprayed in the face. During my criminology degree, I've learned that pepper spray contains chemicals that cause burning sensation in the eyes, nose, mouth, and lungs, and can even cause permanent damage to your cornea. The guards at Camp Greyhound are ruthless. In order to make all the prisoners obedient, they publicly torture a helpless man to achieve their goal. Furthermore, the thing about Zaytoon and his friends is that they have committed no crime whatsoever. They don't belong in prison and were arrested based on suspicion. Zaytoon is a respected businessman in New Orleans. One phone call to his wife and he would be released within a day. However, the guards denied any phone calls to all the prisoners. They would rather use their power to keep all the prisoners contained instead of arranging phone calls.
The ban on the phone call was, then, purely punitive, just as the pepper spraying of the child man had been born out of a combination of opportunity, cruelty, ambivalence, and sport. There was no utility in that, just as there was no utility in barring all the prisoners from contacting the outside world.
There's no benefit of blocking the prisoners from the outside world. It's purely designed as punishment. Zaytoon talks about a child man who is a mentally disabled prisoner that was brutally pepper sprayed after disobeying a rule. Zaytoon describes the call ban and the child man incident as an opportunity, which is a chance for promotion, cruelty, which is behavior causing pain and suffering, ambivalence, which is having mixed feelings about something, and sport, which is a source of amusement and entertainment. So the guards are taking the opportunity of their position to cruelly abuse the prisoners for entertainment. Now, Zaytun always thought that the police and soldiers were the protectors of the citizens. So why are the protectors acting as the oppressors? Because the prisoners are vulnerable. So the guards take advantage of this and abuse their power. Back to the phone call. Like Zaytun, many of the prisoners' arrests were big misunderstandings, which one phone call could straighten out. This phone call is a basic right to all American citizens. The police of all people should understand this. Yet, they see these calls as a hassle and of little importance. Meanwhile, the prisoners' families and friends are going through unimaginable stress. Imagine having a loved one caught up in a disaster who isn't responding. I'd be worried sick. One phone call, just to let your loved ones know, hey, I'm okay. Ladies and gentlemen, all these situations, this is real. In a recent survey, 84% of police officers have stated that they have directly witnessed a fellow officer using more force than what was necessary. 52% of police officers report that it's not unusual for a law enforcement official to turn a blind eye on improper conduct. And finally, minorities made up 37.4% of the general population in the US, but they made up 62.7% of unarmed people killed by police. Police brutality is a big problem here in America. The police should be here to protect us and uphold the law, not to use their position and power to get their way. So what can we do about it? It's simple. There are already many protests and organizations everywhere trying to stop this brutality. With enough protests and complaints, we can tell all the police departments in America to 1. Change the police education to promote nonviolent, negotiating peacekeeping. 2. Ensure that all improper conduct of police are reported and handled. And 3. That law enforcement officials ensure that the use of force is kept to a bare minimum. Contemporary crime writer Patricia Cornwell once said, "I believe the root of all evil is abuse of power." So join the cause, and let's eradicate evil from this country, and every American citizen will be given better treatment. Because this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. My name is Aiden Huang. Thank you all for your time.